Hi, Grace Comments. It's really glad to be able to speak with you for a little bit today. It's my desire over the next several weeks, every Thursday, to share something just a little bit longer and deeper from my heart, or something that's happening at the church. And today I want to talk to you about a plan we have been developing for regathering. Probably you have noticed lots of other organizations and institutions have started publishing and sharing a plan for how they plan to re-enter into what they hope eventually will be a new normal of operations. And your elders and your staff have been working on a similar plan for us. And can I just tell you, we are so eager to be back together and to be with one another in worship. You know, it has often been said that even when the building is closed, the church is always open. And over these last 8 or 9 weeks plus, certainly I have seen that and felt that to be true of Grace Commons. Both our generosity, our practice of worship, our desire to learn in discipleship, our mission, all of these have continued even while we have not been able to gather and be with one another. And yet, it does seem like it's time that we begin to think about how to incrementally regather in our space. So I want to spend just the next few minutes sharing with you that plan, and you'll be able to find all the details of the plan, if you're interested in seeing them, at gracecommons.org/regather. The first thing I want to share with you are a list of values that have been driving the way we want to think about how we will reopen our facility and regather as a church. Really, there are 5 of them, and the first one is simply incarnation. Worship is an incarnational act. It's something we are called and invited to do in the flesh. We can't divide our time of worship and being present to people, being able to shake hands and hug and use our voices and be shoulder to shoulder. And until we're able to do that, we are going to worship in the way where you might still be able to do that with friends and perhaps family and others who are near you and you can sit next to and be incarnational in worship. The second value is love for neighbor. When we reopen, we want it to be an expression of how much we love those who are around us. And that will mean that we want to be open and inviting, and it also will mean we want to do that at a time when we will be able to actually express love for our neighbor. Until then, we are also convinced that love for our neighbor will mean that we won't open until it's appropriate for us to open. The third value is warm hospitality. We want to be the kind of church where people can experience and understand the grace of God as they come in. And right now, at least, it seems clear to us that the stipulations for how we would have to gather in our place would not be warm. In fact, it would feel much more like more of a secure environment. And that's not what the church is, at least not in the way that we'll have to exercise that security in the near term. The fourth is respect for governing authorities. Probably you are familiar with the debate back and forth about whether or not the government has the authority to close down a church or not. And the church is, as I've said, it's always open. And yet, the Bible's also clear that we're called to seek to be respectful of those authorities, especially when what they're asking us to do does not break the clear commandments of God. So we want to be respectful of how we open and we're listening to our authorities. And the fifth value is faithful stewardship of our resources. For us to open immediately and to do it in a way where people would be safe and where people would feel like we've been really carefully tending to the physical and health needs of the people who come would require an extraordinary expenditure of effort and time and money. And when we regather, we want to do it in a way where we can be really faithful stewards, and we can be lavish in our hospitality, we can be incarnational in our worship. We want all of those things to be true. So they're part of the touchstone for us as we make incremental steps towards regathering as a whole church. To do that, we have created sort of a 5-stage plan. You may have noticed that some organizations have created 3 stages or 4 stages. We really have felt that at least those 3-stage plans don't leave enough sort of incremental steps for us to open up the church. So right now what you're seeing on the screen is an image of that 5-stage plan in the areas of sort of mission and discipleship, and how we will worship together, and finally how our facility will reopen for all sorts of other meetings and ministry. Stage 1 is basically full closure. That's what we've been over the last 8 or 9 weeks, as our state has called that stay at home. Stage 2 is safe at home. That's where our state is now, and that's where we are now as well. But pretty soon the state will start sort of changing some of their stay at home or safe at home requirements when we're not quite ready to fully reopen at the same time. And so we have designated stage 3 and stage 4 for us to seek to listen to and attend to what's happening in our community and in our neighborhood. What is the advice we're receiving from our local government? What should be changing about how we think about how we reopen with CDC guidelines? All of those things we want to carefully listen to and adhere to when they are wise and godly and appropriate. And so as you look at this plan, what you'll see is a number of sort of incremental steps. And one of the things that I'm really excited about and thankful for is very early on in this plan, we will begin to re-begin our mercy ministries, because they are considered an essential service. So our work, especially with the homeless and Deacon's Closet, and with Lamb's ministry and with meals and food provision, gets to begin really, really soon. So friends, you're going to hear more about this plan. We'll probably be referencing it over the next several weeks and possibly even months. So I want you to become familiar with it. It will be on our website now and for much longer after this, because what we know is this: it's possible that we may get all the way up to stage 4 or even the beginning moments of stage 5, and then we have to retreat because of resurgence of this pandemic. So just know we're seeking so hard to be careful, wise, godly, incarnational stewards, and at the same time, I'm desperate for us to be back together. Friends, we have not met together as a church since March 8th was our last gathering. I missed the 3 gatherings before that while I was traveling, visiting some missionaries with Pastor Daniel Susanbach. I've just missed you. And God is good. And He knows us. He sees us. And soon enough, friends, by God's grace, we'll get to regather. Send me any questions you have. God bless. I'll see you again this way soon.